Hi there and welcome to Q&A Wednesday. I'm so glad Halloween is over. So on to new things, right? Actually, I way prefer Thanksgiving anyway, so I'm super excited that it's already November. Craziness. I can't believe the holidays are already here. And I'm not going to, let me just tell you, so I'm in Walmart last night, right? And it's Halloween, right? And all of a sudden I look down the aisle and there is Christmas candy already. Not like we don't have enough torture as it is, right? With everybody bringing home like handfuls and bagfuls of candy. Now we got to deal with Christmas stuff. So I just wasn't quite ready for that. I kind of have a firm belief that Christmas needs to kind of stay hidden until Halloween is over. So anyway, I was having a moment yesterday, trying not to have a meltdown in the middle of the Christmas candy aisle. But anyhow, so I've got a great topic tonight. I find that when it comes to being not just, we all want to lose weight. We all want to look thin and healthy and blah, blah, blah. I think that we forget that the physical part of this is actually the easy part, and the hard part is actually the psychological part, the mental and emotional part of it. And that if you really think about how health works, it's all encompassing, right? It's holistic. It's not just about fixing the physical. We actually have to fix everything else as well. That is part of wellness, is mental and emotional health. And that, to get where we need to go, there are definitely some things that we're going to have to address in order to get where we want to go. So it's a great topic tonight. I'm talking about, is it possible to fix your body first and then fix your head? And I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not, right? That's going to be a real struggle. So we're going to address that. We're going to talk a little bit about why I don't feel that that's possible. And then also I'll give you a few tips on getting through it and finding ways to overcome some of those issues and those obstacles when it comes to, the little you in your head that kind of creates some havoc. Just said, the physical part really is the easy part. The exercise, believe it or not, maybe in the beginning it's really a struggle. When I was a bigger girl, I kind of would sneak in and slink into the gym and I'd do my 30 minutes of cardio, and it was hard. And every time I would try a new piece of equipment, gosh, it would just kick my butt. Hi, Amanda. If I don't get to work out, yes, I agree. You know what? My workouts are my me time at this point. And I am to a point in my life where if I don't get exercise, I actually don't feel right. And that comes with the habit, the changes of, creating that habit and that lifestyle of working out on a regular basis. So that is important as well. So let's talk a little bit about, how we get to the point where it's a necessity that we have to make better lifestyle choices and healthier choices. One of the most interesting thoughts I ever heard was that obesity is not the problem. It's the symptom, right? Because we don't get to the point of obesity. And again, I can say this because I was there. So I'm not ragging on anybody. I'm not picking on anybody. I've been there. That is not the problem. We get there because of something. There is something in our lives. For me, I kind of posted on a whole lack of education as to how to be healthy. I blame a little bit of that on the media. I blame some of that on our government for not educating us well. So there's kind of a combination of things that I feel like don't quite work out in order to educate the general public on how to be healthy and how to live healthy. And so that's part of it, but there's also some other issues that I feel are ingrained in that. So let's talk a little bit about that. I've got some good notes tonight. I mean, you guys, I don't talk to you about this until I've really thought it over and really thought it through. And I really feel like sometimes these things aren't addressed when people are talking about, healthy lifestyles. Some of the magazines, all you find is, okay, do this workout, do that workout. Here's a booty workout. I'm like, okay, that's great. Tell me how to fix my head. That is the problem. I can't figure that part out. That's the hard part. So first of all, I want to tell you, at 42 years old, I've learned a whole lot. And I've had a lot of, maybe call it wisdom, maybe call it experience. I call it having, regular epiphanies on a regular basis, especially as I start to do a lot of research and education. But fat is your body's survival mechanism. It is there for multiple reasons. Of course, it's there to keep you warm and it's there to protect your organs, but it is there to keep you alive. If you've listened to a lot of my Facebook Lives, I talk a lot about that your body has two goals. Subconsciously, your body is designed to do two things: survive and avoid pain. So in order for your body to do that, it has to have something that protects you, and that fat is part of that. Now, you can actually look at that at multiple levels, okay? So you can look at it physically, that it pulls toxins that we put in our bodies through the crap that we eat, the air that we breathe, you know, some of that unhealthy air. Hi, Donald. Hey, the topic, honey, is can I fix my body to fix my head? And I'm going to tell you no. I really feel that that's not something. I don't feel you can fix your body first. I think you have to fix what's going on in your head, or what issues you need to address there. So your fat actually takes those toxins and the things, the free radicals and things that enter your body, and it whisks it away. So instead of becoming toxic and killing you, it actually stores that and traps that away in fat. So physically, fat can protect us that way. Emotionally, fat can do multiple things as well. It can be seen as a protection or a coping mechanism. You know, and we'll talk about that, because again, now we're addressing the emotional side, which is a little bit different. And we all have different backgrounds. We all have different issues. We all grow up with different experiences, and that actually plays a huge role in how we respond to the stressors and the issues of our life. Okay. So, some of the reasons why, you know, we might struggle to lose the weight, or address that part of it, the mental and the emotional part of it. You know, for some of us, well, actually for a lot of us, we have unresolved issues, okay? And that's a huge bag of worms. You know, that can be anything from being abused as a child, which I know has happened to a lot of people, and I really struggle with the fact that I don't know how necessarily how to help people that way. Know that, of course, if you have been a victim of any sort of abuse and you have not addressed that with a professional, I really feel that that is important. It is a tool that's been given that you need to utilize in order to get past that situation. Anything that really is stunting your progress in becoming a healthier person, you definitely should get some professional help. And by not really being willing to use that tool, you're not using, it's kind of like saying, okay, well, I can't see, but I'm too proud to put glasses on. I don't want to put glasses on. So you just don't get to see. It's not supposed to be a label or anything demeaning. We're not even saying that you're broken. You just need to be able to address that. And of course, to do it in a way that's going to help you and be long-term, you have to do that with someone who can guide you through it. So I think that that's really important. Other reasons that I think a lot of us struggle with, you know, what's in our heads, stress. If we're not really good at dealing with stress issues, you know, a lot of us use food as comfort. Actually, I've got multiple things that food, let's address that really quick. I'm writing an article for an online magazine, and one of the topics that I want to address is that food is actually designed to be fuel for our bodies. And if you look at how our ancestors way back when, how they looked at food, they didn't look at it the same way that we do now. They looked at it as survival, right? Okay, Drew's talking about ice cream. Quit it. Our ancestors looked at food as survival because that is how they fueled their bodies. Yes, maybe they enjoyed some of it, and I'm sure that they did have traditions. Different cultures have different foods and different ingredients. That's great, but they didn't look at it as we do now. We have so many labels and designs for food that we no longer look at food as fuel. Okay, Mike says 3 pillars of health: structure, mental, and fuel. Absolutely. Nutrition. Yep, that's a big part of it. So, you know, these days, food, we don't even look at food as fuel. We look at food as a whole myriad of other things. Number one, we look at it as comfort. Okay, just started to talk about that. You know, a lot of us growing up, even when you fell down and hurt yourself, you know, your mom offered you a cookie or whatever it was, a lot of us have learned to look at food as a comfort. Now, considering that carbs in general, which tend to be the comfort food, help your body to release serotonin and tryptophan, which is your body's feel-good mechanism or feel-good hormone, of course that's going to be a comfort food. So that's when we tend to, especially when we tend to look for that food as that comfort, that tends to become a problem at some point, especially if we tend to use carbohydrates and not so great carbohydrates as our food of choice or our comfort of choice. So keep that in mind. So comfort, tradition, not that that's always bad. You know, I love Thanksgiving. I love it as a tradition. I love making certain foods, and certain cultures have traditions, certain foods that you know, that they use, which is great. I think the problem is sometimes we let that get out of hand just a little bit. Case in point, I talk about this, and it's time to talk about it already because it is Thanksgiving coming up here later this month. Hi, Sean. Good to see you. Sean's in Tennessee. He wants you to know. You know, eating for Thanksgiving is great. It's the eating for like 3 to 4 days afterwards that's the problem. You know, eating one meal of slightly not the healthiest choices is okay, but when you tend to eat over several days of that, it becomes a problem because our body starts to store that. Okay, I am so sorry. I don't know what happened, but it just all of a sudden disappeared. And so for those of you who are still trying to tune in, again, I had on Wi-Fi. I don't know what the deal is, but it just decided to quit on everybody. So hopefully you've all hopped off and hopped back on, or if you are watching this through a feed actually through my website, I so apologize. God, I just hate when technology is so great and then it decides to hiccup at you. Okay, so if you're tuning back in, back to the topic at hand, which is food. Food is supposed to be fuel, but the other things that we look at it as, we've just touched on tradition, comfort, the drug-like effect that it can have, or the addiction, reward. And as I started to say, you know, I'm not a fan of cutting any one thing that you love out of your diet, just because I find that when you feel like you're completely sacrificing, or that if you can't ever have that again, it's really tough to stick with. So I don't believe that you should use food as a reward, but you can earn it. Okay, so you know, when I want something, and y'all know that I think that caramel M&Ms are absolute crack, and so I refuse to have them in my house because I know I can't handle myself around them. But if it's something that I want, you know what, I make myself earn it. That was one of the benefits of competing. You know, you go for, you know, for me, 16 plus weeks without all these goodies and things, and I get to the point where at the end I'm like, you know what, my reward for doing that, I'm going to, after my show, indulge a little bit in the things that I've wanted and I've missed out on. So I'm going to tell you right now, though, the anticipation is way more fun than actually eating it. If you've ever had a cheat meal or a free meal that you've looked forward to for so long, and then it was like, it was okay. So, you know, keep that in mind. But I don't think that you should necessarily reward yourself with food, just because you shouldn't have that connection with food. Again, food should back to be fuel, right? We sometimes associate food with certain things. And so, you know, again, dealing sometimes with stress, then we associate food with either avoidance of the stressor or with the ability to feel better about the stress. And so that can definitely be a problem. There are a lot of other options out there versus food. You know, we just look to food as something that it really shouldn't be. So Donald says, thanks for the advice. Food is good. Your diet's based on chicken and fish and a lot of 85 pounds, Donald. Wow, that is incredible. Good job. And hi, Julie. Wow, you know, anytime that someone has made an incredible transition or transformation like that, 85 pounds is a lot. And I'm right there with you. My first year, in about 9 months, I dropped about 90 pounds. Now, of course, I know a little bit better now, and weight loss shouldn't be the sole goal. I'm a big fan of fat loss, not weight loss, because weight loss can actually be contributed to muscle loss as well. But I'm still very, very impressed. That's pretty awesome. So back to topic at hand. Celebration. A lot of times food can be associated, and that's kind of a little bit of tradition, but hi Douglas, food can be associated with celebration, you know, with parties and, you know, weddings and quinceañeras and all these things. Food can be associated with a party. And so, of course, when you think of these great celebrations, you think of food. And, of course, that's okay once in a while. It's when it becomes uncontrollable or, you know, gets out of hand that it becomes a problem. Which kind of leads to the other end of that, just even the social aspect. You know, having gone to church for years and years and years as a kid, at every social event, they would have food. Again, now that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, when it's consistently full of sugar and garbage, again, that can be a problem. So sometimes we associate food with being more social. And then how about, again, protection or coping with life issues? You know, we just don't know what to do, so of course we go ahead and we eat. Because when you are mentally hungry, there's a difference between being physically hungry and mentally and emotionally hungry. And some people do not know the difference. Some people cannot relate to what emotional eating versus physical hunger is. So that can be a huge problem, because when you have an emotional craving, it's not usually for something healthy. That's why I giggle when sometimes my son says, I'm hungry. I'm like, great, there is an apple, there is some carrots, there's something in the fridge that is healthy. And he goes, oh, well, never mind, I'm not really that hungry. No, you just want a junk, right? I'm very aware for myself that my two physical issues of eating emotionally are when I'm stressed out, and I usually look for chocolate, or bored, and then I'm just looking for whatever I can find that I can put in my mouth at the time. So I have at this point learned the difference between being physically hungry and mentally and emotionally hungry, and I can actually separate that and make a choice based on that, but not everybody has, and so that's a big part of it. So when we come back to when we talk about, can you fix your body first? I don't think so. I think especially where we have to change how we look at food in general, that if you can't make that distinction between food is fuel and sometimes it's these other things, you're going to have a really tough time maybe not getting where you want to go, but staying there, right? Because we talk all the time, it's not about how fast you lose it, it's about how long you can keep it off once you get there. So reasons why I don't think that it's a good idea to even try to completely change your body first without addressing some of those other issues, okay? Number one, for a lot of people, they do a great job getting where they want to go. They lose the weight, they burn off the fat, they get to at least to a point where they feel healthy and they're happy and they're energetic, because that's a huge benefit of being healthier on all levels, is just that energy level increases. But part of the problem is we kind of consider it temporary, and then we revert back to former habits. So if you can't address some of those issues in your head and fix the problem that got you there in the first place, you're going to struggle to stay there, because when those obstacles hit or those reasons for emotional eating hit, you're going to go right back to the things that you did before. Okay, and I know this from experience as well. This isn't just things that I've studied. I know how that feels. I'm 42 years old. You want to know how many diets I've been on? More than I can count. So it does happen that way. Other reasons why you need to really work on fixing your head. And again, I'm not saying you're broken. There's just obviously some reasons why you got where you are. A big one, and I don't think people think about this, you actually become a different person on multiple levels, right? So not only do you mentally and emotionally have to become a different person to stay there, but things like you actually get treated differently, and not always in a beneficial way. I remember the first year after I had lost the initial weight, I went to a New Year's party in a town not too far away, and I wasn't dressed scantily clad, but I was dressed in a nice dress, and I, showing off my arms because I felt really good about it. And I walked into the bathroom, and there was a group of women who probably were about my age, and they gave me the dirtiest looks. And I was like, what is going on here? And my thought process was, I kind of got upset. I was actually personally offended, actually, because I'm thinking, if you really knew what I've gone through to get to this point, you would not treat me like that. Like, give me those dirty looks. You don't know me. Why should you judge me? So you have to be prepared for things like that. Hey, Donald, you can actually watch the rest of it. I'm just going to post it when I'm done, along with hopefully the other ones there too. I don't know. So people are going to treat you a little bit different. Kind of like when I was a bigger girl, people expected less from me, when it came to anything, because fat was kind of a protection for me. People just didn't look at me. I didn't always have to be in the center of the crowd. I'm an introvert. So sometimes being out there, especially around people I don't know, is a very uncomfortable situation. So keep that in mind, that you're going to have to be willing to deal with some of the changes. And I'm not just talking about people you don't know. I'm talking about people you do know. Family treats you different. And not only just because of how you look, but even because of your habits and your choices. For a couple of years, I go to family events. I bring my own food. And everybody's like, why are you doing that? How come you can't eat our food? It's because I choose to live this way. I've had friends that stopped asking me to go out with them because I drink once in a while, but I don't do it regularly. And I have some friends that drink pretty regularly. So, all of a sudden they don't ask me to events because I'm not fun. So if you're not ready for some of those things, you're going to have to figure out how to be ready for that, because people will treat you differently. And one of my frustrations, in the beginning, I'm more used to it now because my goal is, of course, to smile and talk to everybody everywhere I go. But I really struggled with people kind of acting jealous or looking intimidated. And I'm like, you guys got to know my heart. That is not who I am. I don't dislike you. I'm not ignoring you. I know that if I'm not careful, I have a really focused face and it's a little scary. So, you know, I'm aware that can be part of it. But now, of course, my goal literally is to smile and just talk to people and try to make them at ease right from the beginning. Just because, I don't know, I've been told I'm a little intimidating. I try not to be. But, you know, sometimes you can't help it, especially when people are like, so, do you lift? No, just sit on my butt and drink pizza or drink beer and eat pizza all day. So, you know, I really work to try and make people at ease. But, again, it's very fascinating how differently people choose to treat you. So, trying to think if there's anything. So, you know, not only that, but when you look in the mirror, you got to be able to recognize yourself. I know that sounds like a really strange thing to say, but I actually had somebody I know, super nice gal, and she says, you know, it's been a couple of years and I still look in the mirror and I struggle to recognize who I am. So that transition happens on multiple levels, and you need to kind of get to know you, and you almost have to find yourself again, because you know, because of how people treat you, and because you've got a little bit different goals and definitely a different lifestyle. You are a different person. You kind of have to incorporate all of that and decide how to work with that. And only those that have been in this position kind of know what I'm talking about. But it's true. You know, with my age has come wisdom, as well as just learning who I am and what do I want out of life. But it's a little different when people treat you a little bit differently. So, okay. We talked about that other reasons why you really got to fix your head first. Again, lifestyle changes have to be incorporated. You can't do things overnight and expect them to last. If you're super used to doing some things one way and all of a sudden you're trying to transition to something else, as soon as an obstacle comes through, you're going to revert right back to what made you comfortable before. So those lifestyle changes have to be addressed. You have to be able to deal with the perpetual guilt cycle. If you are someone who tends to binge, you know, to deal with whatever, you know, you have to work with that and figure out how to stop that, so that when stress is not going to stop. The things that you're dealing with, it might change, but it's not going to stop. And you've got to put systems in place to be able to deal with that. And we talked about a little bit about the difference. You have to know the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger, because they are different. And again, you have to put systems in place to avoid that. Know that when you're stressed out, you don't have to reach into my bag of M&Ms, that you can go for a walk, you can do yoga, you can take a quick nap, you can talk to a friend. There's so much more that you can do versus reach for food as your comfort. So here's my tips, and I want to make sure that I covered everything, because like I said, I really think about these things before I talk about them. But my tips. So first of all, I think it's super important that I need you to realize that whatever you are doing to get there, okay, whatever you've done to get there, you have to do that for the rest of your life. And are you okay with that? Are you willing to do that? If you're giving up alcohol on a nightly basis, if that glass of wine that you unwind with every night has become something that you rely on, you're gonna have to give that up to get where you want to go. Not always, but for the most part, for what people's goals are, I'm gonna tell you, you do. Are you willing to do that? Because whatever you're willing to do now, you have to be willing to do forever. Because if you don't, you're gonna go back to where you were. And I don't think people think about that. It's the main reason I absolutely detest New Year's resolutions. For no reason. What changed January 1st that you couldn't have done a month and a half ago, right? So it's a little frustrating. So whatever that is, whether it's being more active, whether it's eating a little bit better, again, knocking out alcohol on a regular basis, you know, sticking to once in a while, whatever it is, if you want to stay there, you're going to have to keep doing that. Number 2, so realize that gimmicks are just that. I would say one of my biggest frustrations is just probably always has been, but especially recently, are all of these gimmicks, these diets. Oh, well, there's, you know, everybody's doing it. Okay. Is it really working though? Have you really researched the results? There's so many things out there. I get really frustrated, especially when celebrities come on TV and they're like, oh, try this new diet. I'm like, that's great. They're paying you to say that. And they're probably giving you that diet for free. But again, that doesn't prove that it actually truly works. There's a lot of gimmicks out there. The health industry has become this quadrillion dollar deal for so many companies, but they don't tell you the truth, right? You know, go buy this meal, take this pill, drink this thing. And I'm like, yeah, and that's really expensive and it might work for a little while, but it's not going to work. You can't, it's not sustainable. It's not going to work forever. So be aware, you just have to stay away from the gimmicks. Social media, all media teaches the most stupidest ideas. Like, hey, you know what? You want to lose weight? Eat 1,200 calories. You want to lose more weight? Eat less than 1,200 calories. Okay, the smaller the car, the smaller the gas tank. What happens when you drop 50 pounds? Are you going to eat less than 1,000 calories? No, that's why your body hits plateaus and your body's trying to run on fumes and it doesn't know how. If your body doesn't know that it's on a diet, which how is it going to know? It doesn't listen to you go, hey, body, I'm on a diet. It's going to go into starvation mode. That's how your body is programmed. So I get frustrated that we're still perpetuating these stupid notions that, you know, just eat a lot less and kill yourself at the gym. No, find balance in all of these things. But yeah, avoid the media and the celebrities because they're not going to tell you the truth. Why would big food industry tell you the truth? Because they're not going to make money on that. Okay, number 3, be okay with being slightly unpopular. Okay, like I said, you know, a lot of my friends don't invite me out because they don't drink anymore. And sometimes I'm the party pooper. I'm not going to lie. That's, you know, I want to go to bed by 9 o'clock. It never happens. But I want to go to bed early so I get that sleep that I need. So sometimes, you know, you just have to be okay being the unpopular one. Get over it. That's, you have a choice. You want to do that or do you want to do this? Your choice. Number 4. If you are struggling with emotional eating, or, you know, with one of those things we talked about, how food is no longer fuel, it's all these other things, I recommend that you track your triggers. Track the things that set you off on that binge or that craving, because that's going to become important. You have to be able to recognize the difference, whether that's an emotional craving or whether it's a true physical. Physical, once you've felt it and focused on it, it makes a whole lot of sense. Your stomach hurts and it's telling you, hey jerk, put something in me. Now, let me just take a quick second and say something about appetite suppressants, because I'm not a fan. Appetite suppressants actually work on the physical hunger, okay? And most people that I know are not struggling with the physical hunger. They're struggling with the emotional and the mental hunger. So how exactly does an appetite suppressant fix that? It doesn't, right? Unfortunately, we look to that as, okay, well, I just need to eat less food, so I'm going to take an appetite suppressant. If your body is hungry, if you are physically hungry, feed it. Just don't feed it with garbage, because then you're not addressing the issue of the physical hunger. You're addressing the issue of the emotional hunger. So there you go. Enough said on that, okay? And last but least, be willing to address the real issue. The real issue is not necessarily that you're fat. It's not. Again, that's the symptom. The issue is somewhere inside there, whether it's, you know, something you grew up with. You know, my parents used to tell me, okay, clean your plate. There's starving kids in Ethiopia. Do you remember that? Are y'all my age, so you remember that garbage? You know what? If you struggle to throw food away, well, first of all, don't bring crap home. But secondly, you know, donate it. Do something where you feel okay about it. But don't rely on those old tapes that play in your head to help you solve that issue, because we've all kind of been through that point of, and it could be anything. I have girlfriends whose parents were very negative about their self-image, or, you know, would say things like, you know, you're going to get fat, don't eat that. So we all have these backgrounds of issues that we kind of have to work through. You have to be willing to address that issue to fix that. And really, until you do, you're never going to get, again, you might get where you want to go, but you're not going to be able to stay there. And for those of you who are like me, where I've been, you know, lost the weight, gained it, lost the weight, gained it, lost the weight, gained it. Good grief. Guys, I have been on and off a diet since I was 12 years old. So I get it. That's what's going to happen. That's the yo-yo effect of trying something, failing, trying something, failing. And of course, each time that you fail at it, you feel miserable and you start this whole guilt, miserable cycle all over again, and you feel like a failure. How is that fair, right? That's not what your body needs to do. That's not what your body was designed to do. Minimally, you've got to at least respect your body, even if you don't love it. But you do have to find a way to have not only that self-respect, but to treat it the way that it was designed to be treated, versus, again, feeding it full of garbage, thinking it's going to take care of the situation. So I really hope that you get something from this. You know, again, it's going to be a journey. It's not, you're not going to arrive there and stay there. It's not a destination. It's something that you will definitely have to address over multiple times in your lifetime. So even though I've gotten there, I still deal with some old habits and some old tapes that play in my head every once in a while that I really struggle with. So be willing to be okay with that. There's ways around it. I think for me, the biggest failure is when I hear people just completely give up. Oh, well, I didn't get it right the first time, so I'm just done trying. Who said it was going to be easy, right? It's simple, but it's just not going to be easy. It's going to take trying again and trying again. Yesterday was Halloween. I had multiple people tell me, yeah, I just messed up. I binged on my kids' candy. Okay, well, it happens. So move on. Let's get through it. Let's go to the next step. That's how it works. I've had multiple days in the last, month or so where I have chosen to eat my feelings. Again, I'm not oblivious to that. It still happens to me. So be okay. It's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how many times you get back up. I don't know anyone who would say, well, my poor baby, 1 year old trying to learn how to walk, fell down. Too late. They're not going to walk ever. Right? It doesn't work that way. And for most of us that have dealt with some success in our life, we know that it takes a lot of failure, a lot of falling down, a lot of, struggling to get back up to get where we want to go and to see that success. And I think we appreciate that success so much more because of it. So you guys, I think you're all amazing. I do truly love you all. I don't like to get emotional. I'm not a fan. I want you to be happy. I want you to feel good. I want you to go out and affect other people in a positive way. There's so much garbage and hatred going on, even within our nation right now. It's not necessary. And if we don't do things individually even if we're just making a small step in the right direction, how can we change the world? I want to be part of that. I want to be part of people's lives. And I want somebody to look back and say, you know what? Because of you, it changed my life. On that note, have an incredible evening. We'll talk to you soon.